SailGP is a racing league, sail racing league that was formed by Larry Ellison about 3 years ago with the goal of being an eco-friendly, tech-forward racing product that's put on the water. This year we've raced in 10 venues around the world, Europe, North America, and Asia. Next year we'll be going to about 12 different venues. It's a very interesting tech-forward platform where each boat is similar across the entire ecosystem. So right now there are 10 boats. Each one of those boats is a foiling catamaran, can reach speeds of about 100 kilometers per hour. And they actually are very, very large scale tech platforms. Each boat has 10 miles of fiber optic cable, 30,000 sensors. The fleet generates 10 million lines of data per second on the water. There's 48 billion lines of data that's all generated per fleet race. All that information is processed in London and available in an open data system to all the teams for performance improvement. So we're very excited about not only bringing a Web3 platform, but we're excited about opening that data stream to our Web3 community for them to actually look at, help visualize, help figure out how to make our team a better performing team in season 4. So that's what we're excited to talk to a lot of people here about is, how does kind of a Web2 or even a pure analog sport actually enter into new levels of fan engagement and fandom, and part of that is a digital engagement at the data level, as well as an ownership and governance structure where people actually get an opportunity to engage with the team and ownership decisions, which it's never been empowered before. And if you think about that aspect really as a Web3 application, I used to run a very large scale community at about 200,000 people, and we spent $50 million in IT systems to be able to manage that community, and we had just rudimentary really engagement. A Web3 solution allows us to actually engage across a fan community in a much more efficient fashion and give them real stake in the governance outcomes of a team.
Yeah, and how does that relate to NEAR?
Well, we're building the entire ecosystem. Our entire tech platform is built on the NEAR protocol. So if you think about where they are right now as a blockchain operating system, I want to be in the business of putting together a great community around a high performance sales team, but don't really want to get heavily involved in our tech selection and what blockchain that we're using. So our entire front end, our token of the equity, our governance structure, all of it is built on NEAR. We've had great partnership with them from a development standpoint because our focus is really community engagement and fan governance and a superior performance on the water. So the tech really takes, for us, it's integral in creating that experience, but also allows us the freedom to be able to engage in unique ways without worrying about, what blockchain are we selecting, what kind of application layer are we building. It's all being built very simply on the NEAR protocol.
Amazing. So for those who don't know, this is a community event and pitch fest for the SailGP event that's happening this weekend. My name is Cameron Dennis. I've been working at the NEAR Foundation for the last 2.5 years or so, but I'm soon to be spinning out to run something called the Banyan Collective to scale NEAR in the United States. We run workshops every week here in San Francisco and New York. We do demo days similar to this. We've done hackathons in the past, and so we're sort of that grassroots engine to growing the open web in the US. So before we get started, we have a very packed agenda today, so I will be the guy to kick people off the stage. And we're going to get started with a fireside chat by Maria, Shen, and Illia, and then followed by a panel about loyalty and rewards with a bunch of key projects in the NEAR ecosystem and the head of business development at the NEAR Foundation. And then we're going to hop right into the pitch competition or pitch fest, and then everyone can eat and network at the end. So, but again, thank you so much to the community partners for the event. House of Web 3 by Edge and Node is the amazing venue here, so please give a quick shout out to them. They're as well as Perry's Open Future Forum, which is a accelerator that is going to be supporting a lot of blockchain projects here in the Bay Area. A lot of you may have heard about this event through him, so thank you, Murray, for spreading the good word. the Homebrew Crypto Club. Vlad, if you're in the building, please raise your hand. You might be eating some food, which doesn't surprise me. This is a small co-working space for NEAR builders and Web3 builders based in SF. It's heavily discounted. If you're interested in co-working in the Bay Area, you can get a monthly desk for only $70 a month, which is super amazing and connecting with a lot of great projects. Here Wallet, who's also based here, is, no pun intended, works out of there. So a lot of really cool NEAR projects working out of this pretty scrappy little venue. And then we have Builders 100. James, quick shout out to you. He's a dev at Circle and also builder community, runs a builder community here in the Bay. Shared this event with the community. And then NEAR SF, big shout out to Alejandra from our team. She's running the front desk right now. We run events here again every single week and are here to build the community. So pretty straightforward. Next thing, if you are interested in joining NEAR SF, please scan this QR code. It just will take you to a newsletter that we send out every 2 weeks or so, highlighting the upcoming events, demo days, some local activations. I'll leave this up here for a sec. And we'll also push more information about the discounted co-working. And we do some VIP dinners, which is really nice. So yeah, subscribe there if you're interested in staying in touch. And so yeah, without further ado, we'd love to invite Maria, Shen, and Illia to come to the stage. Talk about why Web3 matters.
Thank you, Cameron. Hello, everyone. Great to see everyone here. And yeah, let's start.
Hi. I think maybe, okay, it is working. Maybe we can kick it off with intros. And I think this conversation is just more of a casual conversation. We'll both ask each other some questions. I'm definitely super excited about this conversation because, for those of you who don't know, Illia started building NEAR in the bear market, and we're definitely experiencing one of those right now. And so I think there's a lot of really interesting things there. And then also Illia worked in AI and machine learning for 10 years. And so also the perfect person to talk about crypto and AI stuff. So super excited for this conversation. But my name is Maria. I'm one of the investment partners at a firm called Electric Capital. We're an early stage VC firm, one of the early supporters of NEAR. So we're big fans of everyone in the ecosystem. Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, and for those who don't know Electric Capital, check out their developer report, which is monitoring the, yeah, exactly. Monitoring pretty much the beat of this kind of Web3 ecosystem overall and telling us, how many developers, builders in the ecosystem, how things are going. And it's a really good signal for everyone, kind of both in ecosystem building, but also in VC community. All right, so maybe I think one interesting question, given we have a pitch fest, would be, what are your current observations about the space, and kind of what are you looking for in the projects that are raising?
Yeah, so Electric Capital was started in 2018, which is also when I got into crypto full time. Before then, just a tiny bit on my background. I worked on my own company. I was CTO and co-founder there, and then prior to that, spent some time at Microsoft. So my background is in product and engineering, and that's very similar to almost everyone else at Electric. 70% of us are engineers or former founders. And we started the firm with this belief that investing in crypto is going to be very different than investing in kind of traditional VC, and that you would need to build a lot of the tech yourself, and that investing meant participating on chain. And so when we started in 2018, it was right after the hype cycle of 2017. It was, depth of the bear market, as Illia also, I'm sure, vividly remembers. And so this honestly feels a bit more like a return to normal. And if anything, it feels so much more exciting than the last bear market. I'm curious how you think about that too. But there's we now have like, what was it, like 100 billion plus of stablecoin now. Stablecoins barely existed in 2018. There was Tether. And we now have DeFi. We have like billions of dollars locked in DeFi. There are DAOs with functioning governance systems. There's NFTs. There's all these use cases. I think that the activity in the space is really, really exciting and really doesn't feel like the way that it felt in 2018. And so in that way, I'm extremely optimistic about what's being built now. In terms of what we're looking for in the space, right now, I think, is the time to experiment. We almost went through the cycle where a lot of people built really interesting things, some of which worked, some of them didn't work. And I think now we're in this lull period where there's a question of like, what is the next version of things? And so I'm seeing a lot of really cool experimentation. Things that we're looking for would be, at least on my side, I'm really looking for crypto native use cases, new mechanism design, ways of dealing with issues that we didn't have to deal with before and would probably need a new design around it. So for example, if you're working in something in the NFT space, then like how do you design a mechanism that allows for low liquidity assets to be able to be traded efficiently? How do you deal with lack of dependability in oracles? And so I think all of these questions are really being explored right now and very exciting. But yeah, how do you think about this bear market, and what was it like to build in the last bear market?
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember exact sequencing of those things, but I have this vivid memory of waking up in the morning. I checked the price of Ethereum. It was like touching $80.
Oh, I remember.
And we were fundraising at the time, and I was like, well, that's not happening. And then I think that's what I'm trying to remember, which day was it, because it was like we met with you, we met with like Naval, Metastable, and then kind of both you and Metastable said yes on the same day. And then kind of from there, obviously the fundraise closed very quickly. And so I'm trying to remember which day was that, but like that was kind of the correlation I felt. Is like, okay, like, all right, this is all falling apart. Not falling apart, but like, there's interesting death spirals that were happening because of Maker, that could have happened because of Maker at that price. And I'm like, ooh, that's gonna be fun. And at the same time, it's like, okay, well, actually, we do need to build this. This is like clearly a needed technology.
Yeah. Oh, I think a lot of the sense I get talking to founders in the space right now is the users that came in a groundswell are not here anymore, and so everyone's fighting for fewer users. There's less funding in the space, and that's very similar to kind of what you guys dealt with as well. And I think when you guys raised too, as a new layer one, you were, if not the most poorly funded, or like one of the most poorly funded layer ones, just because everyone else had these, huge,
massive rounds of like
massive,
hundreds of millions
yes.
of dollars. Yeah.
Yeah.
During the peak. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was really, really kind of an underdog, I think. How did you kind of think and navigate all of that?
I mean, so we're coming like from building a startup before. We were like, hey, we know we can build this, and like we know this is needed because we wanted to use it ourselves. And so it didn't really like, we don't need $100 million to build the things we need to build, right? I mean, then to grow ecosystem you do, but like to get to a level where it's like people see that this is valuable, you don't need that. And so kind of, and the capital we did raise, which was like $2-point-something million, was enough to get us like to get a really awesome team together and kind of sail in the direction. And so I think, just kind of as advice for general, like, you don't need that much to get started. And then as you validated, like pretty much as we were building this out and had validation, like we had more and more kind of VCs and capital in general being available to us because people saw the value of what we're building. And part of it was community we built, part of it was the name we made, part of it was kind of showcasing the value of what we're building.
How did you find users in the bear market?
Well, a lot of hustle. So one thing, I don't know if everybody's seen here, but we actually ran this whiteboard series, which was a way of like we interviewed other protocols and I mean it was a little bit of like tongue in cheek on one side because we were coming in with like why it doesn't work. And they were trying to defend why it does. But on the other side, it was a really good like educational intro. I actually met people who learned about Solana from the video we did with Solana, which was like, okay, cool. You should have watched the NEAR one, but sure. But it was like really good material for everyone. And for us, it was great to learn. But it kind of built out like this a community of people who knew who we are, who kind of knew we were technical, who knew we were building really interesting stuff. And so through that, then we can start like, okay, well, are you building something? Like, and so we had like a beta program early on where we were having developers pretty much who are interested in building something, kind of go like a, pre-accelerator type thing. Like, few of them, like few of the initial one came from some of that more community and educational work we did.
Yeah, I thought that was a really great series. It's been a few years now, but I think still really relevant. You interviewed everyone, from Cosmos to Solana, as you mentioned, and I think it did a great job of like NEAR in general has one of the best tech teams, and I think it really showcased how good you guys are on the tech side as well.
Yeah, and so I think the advice in general, like, find the new ways you can engage the target market, right? That's really, to summarize, like, what are the channels that are interesting and engaging that's not like already, everybody's bidding them, right? Like ads is a good example of something everybody's already bidding on the same keywords. And so like, where is your targeted audience and how you can find them, and kind of like, you don't need, million right away, just find like 100 who would be really interested in what you're doing.
One thing I'm kind of curious about is I think so much of being a founder is really managing your own psychology and trying and I think especially in 2018 when things were tough, when it felt like there weren't a ton of users or people were leaving the ecosystem, how did you do that as a founder? How do you manage your own psychology, keep yourself upbeat?
I mean, it's an interesting question because we were just talking about, it felt like in 2019, for example, it was like a pretty quiet time. There was actually a lot of people building. So I don't know, Sasha's not here, but we talked with over 300 companies in Web3 in 2019. We probably talked with everyone who was building back then, right? But there was no like craziness like right now where it's like banks are failing, like somebody's just falling apart, and so it was kind of like an interesting, good time to like really develop. Right now it's like it feels like you're on a crazy horse all the time, but you kind of need to abstract out from that and really focus on what you're doing. And so like at the end is like, especially when you're just starting, those things most probably not matter unless you're in a bank that is failing, and it does. But diversify, use crypto. But kind of generally speaking, right, like especially because there's a lot of noise, right? Somebody's launching a project that looks like yours, all the stuff like that really doesn't matter when you're starting. What really matters is are you making progress toward the goals you set out? Like most failures are usually because you have founder psychology and of like not making progress and not having momentum. Like generally speaking, like any way you can showcase to yourself the momentum of you making progress is great. Like, is this users? Great. Is this tickets, solved in Jira or GitHub? That's fine too. Like just whatever momentum you can be like, great, we done that. Like use that to psych yourself, to get the team going, talk about this, and then more people will be like, oh, they're doing great. Like they, doing this and this, like let's join them as well. So kind of leverage whatever you can find and then change it, because obviously it gets kind of oversaturated.
What were the metrics we used?
I mean, for us, I think, so we were rushing. So, I mean, and this is kind of my approach, which now our protocol team is doing exactly the opposite. But I would always say like, we're going to launch in 3 months, and then, which was not true at all. But that always feel like we're like, kind of almost there. And so we just need to like finish this and that. Which led to like, we actually wrote 4 different consensuses. We built 3 different sharding mechanisms. And so we actually threw away a lot of stuff, but so that's the other thing like that which NEAR had, and we continue kind of forcing that is like the no sunk cost fallacy. Because like it's really easy to get like, oh, well, I already built this, so we need to use it or something. Like we came from AI, not threw away, but like we stopped doing a bunch of stuff we did, right? We had like, we wrote scientific papers. We actually had a product, it just didn't work very well. But like, we kind of cut all that. And I think this is a really important mentality when you're early, because you need to iterate, you keep learning, and you need to apply that learning. And actually, if that doesn't work, like you need to accept that. And like for consensus, for example, I mean, in Resolve, we broke a bunch of consensus in the ecosystem and like helped some people fix their stuff. But like that was great learning, right? Like, we had like our team understands consensus really well. We know exactly how everybody else's stuff works. And that gave us a leg up as well in like designing better systems.
That's really fascinating. I hadn't heard that before, but I really agree with the no sunk cost fallacy. I think that's so important because I see a lot of, I think it's hard. Like even when I was a founder, it's if you spent a lot of time building it, there's so many ways to rationalize to yourself why it could really work if you just tweak this one thing. And it takes a lot of discipline to take a step back and say like, no, it isn't working, and we need to start over. And it's a hard decision to do that.
Yeah, I mean, for example, we deleted 20,000 lines of code at one point,
Wow.
which was like probably half of our code base at that time. So, and like the other lesson was, I mean, that I have failed actually, and like was that we should have launched earlier. So when we deleted that, we hacked together a Tendermint consensus on top of our runtime. And so we actually could have launched a Tendermint based, like pretty much what Cosm Basel is in like April 2019. Or, maybe like a month of testing would be good. But this is where like kind of the, somewhat of a sunk cost fallacy kicked in. We're like, oh, we promised sharding. And so we're like, we need to deliver sharding. We're just like, hey, we just need to get this out and start getting users and developers. And so this is the other lesson is just like ship what you have where you can start getting the feedback loop. And then you can build the sharding, which we ended up doing is like, it still took some time to finish all the pieces underneath, but you can have this like really powerful feedback loop. And we would have had like way more early developers coming in if it was already live network versus if you're just having like a test net where feels like it's a sandbox, right? So that's generally, as soon and it's easier for some products than others. Like in protocols, it's hard to do generally, but you still need to like figure out what is the minimum protocol you can launch that allows you to iterate from there.
Yeah. How do you think about, now that you have all these learnings, how do you think about that with Boss and all the new initiatives that's coming out? Yeah.
Well, so just for context, so Boss is blockchain operating system. This is something we kind of been launching over the past 2 months. We launched alpha in Denver, and we just launched everything kind of on NEAR.org on Friday last week. And the idea is really kind of a whole set of layers that together really abstract out what blockchain is and provide kind of a whole host of services to the developers. And to users, they provide this kind of one-stop place where you can use any blockchain, any application. You can also access it through different gateways and endpoints, right? So it's a pretty complicated, concept that is like it's new concept that we're introducing and really combining a lot of pieces of what blockchain truly enables new ways to interact with applications. And the interesting thing was that the kind of one of the technologies came out from one of our core engineers who is not with Pagoda, for example, but with Proximity. So he built this as part of the social network. He just launched it right away. And like all of us started playing with it and like, that's kind of cool. And so we like learned from that, we iterated, and then we kind of, as we were developing some of the vision in parallel, that got incorporated and kind of continued. So like it was a very iterative process of like, we launched something, we got it to be used. We saw how we can kind of expand our vision of, what a super app platform would look like if we have this new component. And so kind of a lot of it was like iterate and learn. And that's why we also launched Alpha in February, kind of in Denver, because we we had an experiment set out, like how much usage and how much developers we can get out of it. We launched it as alpha. We beat those numbers actually by far. And that kind of, again, gave us motivation to, okay, now it's, we should push it up and get it to production to NEAR and SailGP. So kind of using those learnings really like to guide the development, guide the kind of launches. And, now that we have it here, now like iterate and grow from there.
Yeah. I feel like it's also very timely, just because decentralized front ends are such a topic right now in terms of, and decentralized front ends and just being more decentralized in general. I think Boss fits into that narrative as well in terms of making sure that we're not, we don't have these decentralized protocols, but then the front end is controlled by one entity and it's just all stored on AWS. And if it goes down, then, tough luck for everyone. So I think that's a really important, and it wouldn't even have been relevant, I would say, in 2018 or 2019, right, to have something like that, because we just didn't have the number of decentralized applications that we do today.
Yeah, the need was way less, and kind of people, I think like now we've seen, for example, Curve get hacked, their front end got hacked, right? And it's like users were actually exposed to a hack of Curve company, right? Which is like, wait, aren't them using like decentralized stack, right? And same, we have, kind of potential questions like who's running this and what, like, and so, yeah, now we have a lot clear need in Web3, but we also see a very kind of interesting use cases and power of this approach in Web2, because it's actually faster to develop through this like decentralized components than Web2, because you have like this library of already existing stuff. You can really quickly pull it together. You can always look like whatever interface you're looking at, you can go and check how it's implemented. And you're like, oh, I like this part, or I can fork this and modify it. And so that actually creates like faster speed of iteration. And like there's few engineers here who are who've been playing with this and know that. And then at the same time, it actually offers a new model where if you're a Web2 company brand, you have your own platform and you want to bring the experiences to your platform, but you probably have like limited engineering, and especially you don't have Web3 engineering capabilities on. And so this allows to embed all that and like even rebrand all those experiences without really needing to build them and maintain them.
Yeah, interesting. So every component is basically almost like a white label solution that you can just like take.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so in a way, this is kind of what smart contracts did for services. Like these components are doing for front ends, right? It's like they're making them more kind of self-contained, isolated, and composable with each other, and living independent of like whoever launched them.
What are some of the interesting Web2 use cases you've seen for this?
I think the interesting part is really this like embedding what Web3 is already enabling, right? Everything from loyalty to like secondary marketplaces to kind of creating new experiences and new revenue streams, and embedding that into their platform. And I'm sure we'll be announcing some more in the upcoming months.
Okay, so Cameron is miming to me that we only have 5 minutes left. Should we switch gears to AI and crypto?
Yeah, tell me more what you're thinking about AI and crypto.
Oh man, I am both. I think a lot of people are really frightened by the AI future. I think we're going to be okay, but I do think that there is just this natural. We talked about this, but there's this natural melding that needs to happen between AI and crypto, because if you think about what crypto is, it's programmable value on chain, right? And that value can be money, that value can be assets, whatever. But the cool thing is that you can now write like if this and that statements and any kind of complexity on top of these assets. And then AI is basically like a autonomous agent that's created through code. And so eventually, and I'm sure very soon, we're just going to have autonomous agents that's running rules for money. And so you can imagine that an AI can, sit on top of a smart contract that controls millions of dollars and coordinating everyone to do the right thing, whatever the right thing is. And that could be fighting climate change in a very positive example. And so you actually have, very long-term motivated autonomous agents that can very efficiently learn how to coordinate people. And again, like I think the brilliant thing with crypto is because it's global 24/7 and like transactions are basically like, it can be like infinitely small. It means that you can be very targeted in terms of how you coordinate people. And so we're going to see really interesting coordination gains, I think, by AI. So that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah,
what
I
about
think pretty much what you're saying is there can be a nonprofit that's fully run by AI that directly deposits money to coordinate like either like specific cause.
Yeah, with transparency along the way, right? Everyone can audit what it's doing, and I'm sure we'll come up with like a penalization like parameter as well, right? If it does the wrong thing, then we can like penalize the AI in some way, and it can learn from that and then become better. All of which I think means that we're going to be able to coordinate money a lot better. But
yeah, and I think so. This goes into what I've been thinking a lot is like, how do we govern AI? And I mean, it's obvious it shouldn't be a single company that is governing all of the AI infrastructure or specific models. And so the way to do that is to use some governance tooling, right? That is able to get people to participate, get people to provide their input. The simplest thing to govern right now is to have data sets collected. And so actually NEAR has been running a project called NEAR Crowd, which is a data kind of crowdsourcing platform that uses blockchain to actually collect data and pay people for this data. And the governance, like a DAO, can pretty much navigate which data should be labeled and kind of what types of problems should it, see to make sure that it understands, what type of things it needs to do, right? And there's like, for example, UN frameworks around kind of morality and everything. So like there's ways we can actually like navigate that. So that's kind of the framework we can actually start using already now to build these data sets, which are kind of guiding, like as this AI model is getting fine-tuned, where they should go. And then on the other side, I think the really interesting part is, to me, is actually using the Web3 tech to kind of create better trust network, right? Because I think, generally speaking, right, a lot of the interactions people have, and especially online or over the phone, relying on very weak trust signals, right? Like you see the phone number of the person called and you hear their voice. All of this can be fake now.
Yeah.
The
next election's gonna be wild.
Yeah. So and like it's actually not the AI problem. It's a problem of this interfaces, and these problems have been exploited already for years, right? Like the previous elections were already, like all of this was exploited with people, and we're just gonna see that at like extreme. And so what we have with cryptography first, right, is ability to sign content with blockchain, we can actually root it into some, identity system. And so we can have like through, decentralized social and other parts and money is part of this system, is actually have like build better reputation and trust systems around signed content, so that that, oh, this is actually written by a journalist from Wall Street Journal, not generated by AI right now when you open the page, right? Which will start happening. Like the pages you will be opening, they will look like Wall Street Journal and will have completely generated content that looks like it comes from it, but it's not.
Yeah, or this is a video of Biden talking, but
exactly,
he never said this.
Yeah. And so I think like, and so the flip side of this is also like, how do we have like supply chains of data, etc. But like this is all things that like will need to be coming in, and Web3 here is actually more of a tool to help kind of grow this ecosystem and like kind of maintain sanity of the internet.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Great. So we're going to get started with the next panel. Robbie, let's see, all about loyalty and rewards in Web3. So Robbie Lim, if you can come to the stage, along with Ben Johnson, Jack Cameron, and Zoe Levitt. Please give it up for them as we unpack loyalty. posters.
All right, welcome. Thanks everyone for coming. This is an amazing spot. I want to give a shout out to Banyan and crew for setting this up. Everyone's asked, like, is this the NEAR space or the foundation? No, we don't. We're borrowing this space thanks to Banyan. So, but thank you for coming. Want to do a quick intro. I'm Robbie. I lead the BD team at the NEAR Foundation, and we've been working with a lot of different partners, specifically on loyalty and rewards in Web3. We think it's a really strong use case for blockchain, and we're excited to explore it and explain why right now. So real quick, wanted to go through intros. What is it that you do around here? We'll start with Zoe.
Great. Hi, everyone. Great to see everyone. Zoe Levitt, the CEO and founder of Glass, which is the first blockchain-based digital marketing and loyalty platform for the $1.5 trillion global alcohol industry.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jack. Thank you guys for having me here. I'm the co-founder and COO of Insomnia Labs, which is a Web3 end-to-end agency doing enterprise agency work for some of the biggest brands in the world.
And hi, everybody. I'm Ben Johnson, SVP at SailGP, one of the global racing properties, and hopefully I've seen a lot of the folks in the room here today out this weekend. Will be right up the bay. It's sailboats replacing F1 cars as a global strength.
All right, quick poll of the room. How many people out there are involved in a loyalty program? You have United points, you've got credit card points, hotel points. All right, how many are involved in more than 3? Raise your hand. How many are actively involved in more than 5? All right, you are all the exception. Most US consumers are actually part of 16 loyalty programs, but only actively involved in a handful. And I want to go down, like Ben, why do you think that's the case?
In terms of why
has Web2 loyalty not really worked so far?
I think it has to have real utility and value. So I think, I'm an interesting lens in this room. Far and away the dumbest person in this room, and I know that without even having to go around and meet a lot of people. I'm a sports background. I don't have the unique lens that so many people here do from a tech perspective. And we get to really sort of bring a little bit of that sports opinion to this topic in terms of why affinity and why utility are so important to drive connectivity back to a fan base. So for us, it's so important that make sure that when we think of loyalty and rewards and engagement with our fans, it's not something that's added on at the end of their experience. It needs to be built into the way they think about their event weekend. It needs to actually have value back to them. So it can't be something that makes the brand feel better about themselves than it does within the consumer at the end of the day. So we really start with what makes your time on site the best possible use of your time. And I think that's really from a Web2 perspective where most of these fall down is it's a nice to have. It captures a couple emails, but people don't want to have 16 devices that they have to log into to go and enjoy themselves more than venture a product.
Fair enough. And Jack, what do you think the goals of a loyalty program should be?
Yeah, 100%. I think specifically in Web 2, I think the obvious answer is repeat purchase above all else. Repeat purchase in a competitive market. I think some of the most successful loyalty programs that we currently see today are things like Starbucks, but then we do a lot of work with L'Oreal. So like Sephora does a really good loyalty program. There's a brand called Elf that's actually a competitor to a lot of the brands we work with currently that has really done a really good job at allowing for repeat purchase. But also adding a level of community on top of that, making sure that they not only make it about an exchange of value in terms of, consumer making a purchase, but providing alternative experiences on top of that to make it really feel like a one-to-one experience with the consumer.
You got it. And Zoe, you face a unique challenge in helping a certain type of customer reach their end customer. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So something that's particularly interesting when coming from the Web3 perspective is that loyalty and rewards effectively do not exist at scale in Web 1 or Web 2 in the alcohol industry. I previously worked at AB InBev, the world's largest beer company, for a number of years, so I saw this firsthand. This is partially because of the legacy nature of the industry. This is an industry that's still spending hundreds of billions of dollars on, billboards and television ads and very analog advertising, but also because of the very complex regulatory landscape that affects alcohol brands at the federal and the state level. So what we're really able to do now with Web3, with our platform, is to unlock loyalty and rewards for alcohol brands for the first time, enabling them to connect directly to consumers in a way that's safe and compliant, that is through NFTs rather than through direct sales, which alcohol brands are not allowed to do in the US. And also using really unique technology that we've developed to automate compliance to state-by-state regulations. So we're able to whitelist certain consumer wallets to be able to access only the rewards that alcohol brands are legally allowed to offer in their state. So it's enabling brands to really offer these very unique experiential social rewards to their consumers at scale for the first time without having to worry about the very specific geography-based regulations.
Well, I think a problem that a lot of consumer brands face is that they have a distributor, and the distributor actually kind of controls or is a gateway to the end customer. Like, how do you get around that in Web3?
Yeah, I see in Web3 a perfect solution because exactly as you say, alcohol brands, they first sell to the distributor, who then sells to the retailer, who then sells to the consumer, and that's legally the way it has to take place. But with NFTs, for example, the consumer can opt in at or beyond the point of sale to that direct digital relationship with the brand. That's not dependent on buying the products. That's more about the ecosystem and the experience and the community, as you mentioned, around the brand.
Got it. So you're kind of circumventing the distributor in that case.
Correct.
What do they say about that? Or have they not commented so far?
They're very interested in expanding and working with us. Actually,
so they want a
yeah.
piece. They want a piece
Yes.
Okay.
They're good at protecting their boundaries.
Fair enough. And maybe then we'll turn to you for sailing. So you've got a unique situation where there are a lot of different constituents in the ecosystem that participate. To throw on a race, it's a lot of work, and you've got to have teams and athletes and owners and fans. How do you weave in loyalty and specifically Web3 to change the experience?
So getting back to this idea of utility and access, there's really two pillars we have right now that we've been able to build them sort of from scratch with NEAR. So one of the exciting things for us is a wholly owned sports property, end to end. We do everything from around tech stack to broadcast distribution, produce the races, build the boats. We got together with the NEAR team and we looked for where some of the gaps are in terms of our tech. So this is sort of how in F1, we have modern seatbelts because F1 ran into challenges from a safety perspective. We see ourselves as a sport being able to take incredible novel tech and look for where we have challenges, and hopefully that leads to something unique. The two areas that we found are around the DAO. So you've heard a little bit from the Bernoulli Lock team. Now we're really reinventing this idea of team ownership. There's been other attempts at this in sort of the modern sports space around DAOs, but leagues, teams, sports owners are not incentivized to have true ownership for so many reasons, both from an asset class. It's one of the best performing assets in the world. There's no reason to share that with the masses. So really flipping that ownership model on its head is a very novel idea. We're fortunate that we have an ownership structure that enables big thinking like that. So working with the Astro DAO team, trying to find ways that we can build in true governance of a team, build in access from the ground up has never been achieved in sports. Even if you look at other modern examples like the Green Bay Packers, that's novelty, bond ownership. It's not actual governance. It's not things like voting rights, team selection, all the things you hear in the Bernoulli Lock is, again, invented from scratch. So this is precedent setting, not just on a sailing property here in the Bay, but for global sports more broadly. From a real fan utility perspective, we're building the dock right now, which is our rewards and loyalty program for people to get access to the sport. So when we think of what makes it fun to be a fan, you really want to see your athletes, your heroes up close and personal. You want to get those experiences. You want to be able to ride on the boat. You want to do the cool stuff that nobody else on site has access to do. No matter how much money I spend at Yankee Stadium, they're never going to let me pitch in a game. SailGP, we can put you on the race course. So there's fun things like that that we think of true life-changing experiences that are enabled by a Web3 platform. In this instance, we have what we're building in the dock, which is a mix of Oracle tech and NEAR tech. We think one of those best case uses of Web2 and Web3 coming together to create a value for a consumer. It allows for things like points creation, time on site, going to a bunch of different races and getting to collect those experiences at the end of the day.
That sounds awesome. So SailGP does have a relationship with Oracle, the software provider. How are they involved, if at all, in kind of your expansion into Web3?
I mean, they're at the core of how we're thinking about the relationship. It's unique for us. And again, I'm not an engineer by trade. So when we look at this, we see ourselves as being able to bring in a whole new community into this room. We've been to community events from East Denver to some of the meetups in Zurich, and really sort of looking at all the cool stuff being built in this room and hearing about different projects across the NEAR ecosystem and saying, I don't know what that means in terms of the utility, but I know that we want our fans to have a more secure access with their ticket on site. So ticketing, things like that being built between NEAR and Oracle right now. When we really look at that tech stack as the open opportunity to take something cool that NEAR is doing, something that we know from the Web 2 world that we need in sports, and trying to find a way to bring the two together.
Got it. And Jack, you have been involved in a number of different brands exploring loyalty, both in Web 2 and Web 3, and that shift. Who do you think does Web 3 loyalty well today?
I think that's a tough question. I think there's a lot of brands that are currently exploring loyalty. I think loyalty has many definitions. I think what we see with Starbucks is really interesting. What we see with .swoosh, with the ability to land that .swoosh address at the end of someone's ETH address, right? That's a really unique situation and allows people to index customers. I think what we will see as a actual successful loyalty program in the long run is what the analogy I always use when I talk to brands is that they should look at gaming, right? When gaming originally started, there was the whole thing of you sell a game for $60 and then you try the next year to reskin, et cetera. And then gaming companies said, okay, we're not going to do this. We're going to give away games for free. And the goal is to increase daily active users. And so what they did, right, is they turned every single moment in the game into a form of loyalty. And so what that really looks like when you think of that for a brand, right? What can you do from a loyalty perspective when you take everything that a brand is doing and define it as a form of loyalty? So distributing points against Twitter posts, against LinkedIn posts, against joining a Discord, against minting an NFT, against attending an event, right? If you can gamify, increase the daily active users of a brand, ultimately, that's really what the next evolution of Web3 does. Web3 loyalty, and the only way to do that is on the blockchain because you have a trustless distributed piece of technology that allows you to do that. So.
Sounds great. You want to?
Yeah, no, I would love to build off that. I think that's such a great point. And I think it's interesting to think about the types of utility that Web3 loyalty programs can offer and how to best adapt those to each specific brand or product category. So something like Starbucks, which has done an incredible job in Web 2 loyalty because Starbucks is a product you buy every day. It's a very kind of financially incentive focused rewards program. Whereas now Odyssey and certainly what we see in the alcohol space is that it's much more experiential. It's much more about if you're for the consumers of some of the premium liquor brands that we work with, you may not go out of your way to save $1 on a $50 bottle of tequila, but you will interact with the brand ecosystem across all the points you said, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, in order to get a money can't buy experience and meet and greet with the celebrity on that who's behind that brand based on the points that you've earned. So I think that's something that we see kind of evolving and brands figuring out as well.
Got it. Maybe an open question for any of you is we're seeing a lot of innovation in loyalty, and I think folks are setting things like utility-based NFTs or using NFTs to have additional property rights or digital rights, or having NFTs that might dynamically kind of upgrade or change over time. Maybe if anyone can talk about some of those technologies you're using and how they apply to loyalty.
I can take that. I think we're doing a lot of due diligence around like questing apps. So you see like Crew 3, Quest 3, there's a whole bunch of them, but the issue is to that point around like creating a fun loyalty program. When you're farming engagement at a certain time, that engagement drops off. You're getting a retweet simply for a point, and then no one's paying attention to that post, right? So the evolution of what questing apps are going to be is really important to us, but we are definitely looking in depth to questing apps, and most importantly, which questing apps have achieved the most API integrations, because the more versatile you can be, the more you can meet the consumer where they are. So a lot of the questing apps right now are important for us at least.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the potential of dynamic NFTs, I think, to evolve, to show your status within your community over time, and to start to differentiate people within brand communities based on what appeals to them most about the brand. For example, we're working with our launch partner Lobos Tequila. You can try some of their great cocktails over in the next room. But this is a brand that has LeBron James behind it. Some fans came into it from that sports side. Some fans come into it through the fine tequila enthusiast side. So to start to build these almost tracks through dynamic NFTs of how consumers are interacting differently with the same brand that can then be displayed in different ways through these dynamic badges, I think is something really exciting.
So last year, a couple years ago, LeBron took a Lobos Tequila bottle to a basketball game, playoff game. You think he'll have the same same thing in terms of promoting the loyalty program?
Yes, we're there's going to be some really exciting rewards coming out this summer. So everyone sign up for the wait list. We'll be launching together with NEAR in just a few weeks. Yeah, it's exciting times ahead.
And one thing we recently started talking about early this year was the blockchain operating system. So NEAR evolving beyond an L1. I call it an L1 plus because basically we're taking this new paradigm, trying to create this new paradigm in blockchain where the problem with Web3 right now is usability. And I think that's one thing that we've been working with each of you on is the usability part of it. And then what the operating system will enable us to do is some of you are actually multi-chain. So you'll actually be able to pull an NFT on Ethereum or an NFT on another chain, verify that or mirror that over to NEAR, and kind of have interoperability between different loyalty programs on different chains with one sort of gateway to access it all. What kind of implications does that have for some of the things you're working on?
Sure, it's such a fantastic fit for the alcohol industry in particular because think about all the different places and venues where you might be enjoying a drink. At your bar, at a nightclub, at an NBA game, at a SailGP race. So the opportunity to, for example,
At home?
At home, yes, in your basement. Hopefully not, but hopefully with others in a healthy, responsible environment.
Of course.
So the ability to, be earning and redeeming across all these channels and to, for example, earn points from a brand that you buy at your local liquor store to enjoy at home in your pajamas, but then use that to access Coachella NFT. That same brand sponsors Coachella, and you can have that interoperability of rewards is so incredibly exciting.
I think for us, one of the things that makes SailGP excited about it is when we look at traveling to events, going around the world, and getting access to different experiences across races. We don't have a one-size-fits-all, so you can imagine the CRM complexity that goes into us tracking our fans, making it easy for them to get on site, making it easy for them to find their tickets, find their evening plans all in one place. When we think of the dock, one of my favorite use cases for NEAR is when it's not front and center. It's really just the underlying mechanism that enables single sign-on and enables people to get from one of our events to the next without having to think of where their SailGP itinerary is, where they need to have their identification to get on site from a security standpoint. So when we can start to solve some of those problems as a sport, it's a huge need for us, given the scale of the number of people that come on site to the events, the contractors on site. We can then be a real world use case or a utility where people don't even necessarily know why their experience has gotten better using the app event to event. We then get to point to get a use case that's provided real access, real utility, and just made their lives easier. You don't have to go find the email that had the address and had the thing that had the QR code to get into the event anymore. You just always go to your doc built on NEAR that allows people just to show a badge when they get on site, and all that information is always automatically stored. So that to me, even again, sort of as a novice in this space, has utility not just across the sailing side, but across sports, entertainment.
I think one thing that our clients always say is simplicity matters, right? Making it easy for the end user. And those who can see that my picture of my monkey, I'm a very die-hard Web3 person. And so it's difficult, right, to think of a solution for a brand who ultimately wants to do a loyalty program that can reach mass consumer, but also has interoperability into Web3. And so I think beyond simply a multi-chain world, I think any loyalty program that focuses first on the choice of the consumer, whether they want to bring those assets on chain, right, to then trade, sell, and monetize their experience on the brand, or leave it off chain and simply use it as a traditional Web2 loyalty program. So yeah, I think that's really the key to a successful loyalty program with multi-chain and also on and off chain.
All right, that wraps up our talk here, but thanks a lot for listening in. We monitor a lot of interesting Web3 loyalty programs coming up in the coming months, so excited to share those all with you.
Thank you, Robbie. And next, we're going to start the pitching side of things. So first of all, raise your hand if you're a project looking for investment. All right, investors turn around, take notes. Now, raise your hand if you're an investor looking for projects. All right, great. Actually, keep your hands up. Keep your hands up, investors, please. This is important for the projects. Cool. So yeah, take note of everyone here before we get started next pitch. So Claudio, if you don't mind, come on up. This Claudio Coachio. Oh wait, actually, real quick, some investors in the audience include the wonderful Electric Capital, Big Brain Holdings, Republic Crypto, Samsung Next, Variant Fund, One Piece, CMT, Proximity Labs, and many more. And so just keep note of all of these things as you are going to the networking side, because these people are here right now. So Claudio, he's the founder of Metapool. He's the co-founder of Metapool. This is the largest liquid staking protocol in the NEAR ecosystem. He's NEAR OG, here from pretty much day one. And he's here to tell you about some really exciting developments in the Metapool ecosystem. So please give it away.
Thank you very much, Cameron. Hello, everybody. My name is Claudio. I'm one of the co-founders of Metapool. So we're the first liquid staking clicker. There you go. Anyhow, so my name is Claudio, one of the co-founders of Metapool, with the first liquid staking solution on NEAR and Aurora. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. So first of all, how many in the room do not know what a liquid staking token is? Okay, so I'm preaching to the crowd, right? So anyhow, our first and foremost, our mission is basically to help proof-of-stake protocols become more capital efficient and, more importantly, decentralized. Of course, one of the main aspects of Metapool is we want to help proof-of-stake protocols grow in emerging markets. So this is basically, everybody knows how this works, but anyhow, for the audience that doesn't know, so we're basically allowing, when you delegate to NEAR, your NEAR to Metapool, we distribute to more than 100 validator nodes on the NEAR protocol network, basically allowing it to be more decentralized and more capital efficient when we mint a liquid staking token. So this is the APY that we do right now, so around 9.1% APY, plus if you use it for DeFi, you get the extra yield from those different protocols. So that's basically one of the big things that we're allowing NEAR to be more capital efficient. But the big thing here for us is that we're the only liquid staking token that is using custodial services on NEAR and Aurora. We support Fireblocks, Credo, and Finoa, which is a custodial service partner for Europe. And now the big thing, and what we're announcing today, is we're launching liquid staking native on Aurora. So with this, we're also launching our new logo, new design. So basically, after 21 months on mainnet, luckily Lucio finally convinced them to change the front end. It took me a while, but 21 months later, here we are, right? But more importantly, here is what we're offering for Aurora token holders. It's a solution for them to get that extra APY for all DeFi applications on Aurora. So it took us about 4 months to build it, but it's now on mainnet and it's live today. You can go and check it out. Also, this is one of the big things we're doing with the NEAR Foundation business development team. We're allowing liquid staking tokens from NEAR Aurora to be used in fintech applications all around the world. Dito Banks is based in El Salvador. Rad Network is based in Europe and Spain. Creci is based in Mexico. So basically, collateralization of NEAR protocol assets in order for them to get loans on their local currency in the fiat. So really happy about that. That couldn't be possible without the NEAR Foundation business development team. So Robbie, shout out to you, man. Our roadmap for 2023, as I said, fintech applications are going to be the way that we build the bridges between Web 2.0 and Web 3. So we're helping do that. The next thing is we're also EVM compatible. So we're launching Aurora, some of our products, which is Meta Yield, Meta Bond Markets, which I'll go into it a little bit. And also we're launching on Dexes and order books on NEAR Native. One of the big things that we're launching today is basically governance version 0.1. We're gonna be putting all protocol fees from the liquid staking platform in the hands of the users of our community. All meta governance token holders will receive directly the fees from the protocol itself. So this is a first for any liquid staking solution on any layer one. Basically, representatives from NEAR in Aurora will have a shot at calling the shots for the Metapool DAO. So that DAO is basically live right now, and we're gonna be allowing the community to vote on where we go on May 26th. So more news on that. This is a little bit on how things are gonna be put in forward. It is a step-by-step process. Running a DAO is not trivial, but then again, we need to put it forward, right? This is why we're building on Web3, and this is the vision of Lucio and myself as co-founders when we launch Metapool on NEAR. And NEAR is the platform where you can launch smart contracts that are running fully on top of a DAO. Next thing is building for the community, by the community, right? NEAR Digital Collective, which is the way that NEAR is gonna become more decentralized. We're gonna help fund some of the working groups through our liquid staking platform. More importantly, funding community projects that are launching on top of NEAR as well in Aurora. Last but not least, this will be the first step into the interacting with universal basic income on NEAR. And so hopefully we're gonna be providing the platform in order to build that on top of NEAR. This is the team. We're based out of Argentina, Mexico, Ecuador, Switzerland, and Spain. So we're a full-on diverse team, so really happy to be here. And thank you very much, everybody, for the space. Cameron, thank you very much, everybody. I'll be around, so anyhow, thank you. Gracias.
And now we're gonna start with 5 minutes of questions. If anyone has any questions, Claudio is gonna answer, and then we're gonna lead into the next project, which is drop. So any questions?
Shoot your shot. Yeah, Max.
Hey, so you said you differentiated from other liquid staking protocols. So NEAR is that you partner with custody providers.
Yes. So basically, this is allowing us to interact with fintech applications, right? In the case, for example, Cresi. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know where they are. Sorry, my manners. So in the case of Cresi, for example, what we're doing with them is we're leveraging Fireblocks in order for them to send us NEAR. Then we go ahead, stake it on Metapool, and then the APY gets sent over to Cresi in order for them to provide the hedge for collateralization of their token. That way, they protect themselves and their users based on the fluctuation of the token itself, right? And so that's one of the ways we're leveraging it. For example, for Dito Banks is based in El Salvador. They're using Credo as a custodial platform, which is allowing them to provide the necessary means to comply with the El Salvador government in order for them to custody assets from El Salvador citizens. So that's how we're leveraging, building those bridges between Web 2.0 and Web 3. Max, thanks for the question.
How do you prevent against slashing activities on the validators that you choose to delegate to, and how do you protect the users' funds from those sort of activities?
Well, that's the great thing right now about NEAR. There's no slashing. So at the moment, yes, thank you very much, Illia. I don't know if that is forever, right? But eventually, how we're approaching slashing is right now we're distributing to around 90 validator nodes on the NEAR protocol network. What the smart contract does is that it's always, every epoch is checking to see if those validator nodes did not miss that epoch. In the case that they missed, we signal to the node operator, hey, you missed this epoch, you got like yellow card, right? And then if they miss again, then yes, we have to pump it up because that's also affecting the APY of the whole protocol itself, right? But that's built into. Only thing it's not implemented because in NEAR there's no slashing up to now.
As we look to bring more institutional capital into the staking world, one common concern is that not all institutions can be in fully decentralized staking pools. Would be curious to hear how you're thinking that issue.
So this is another good thing that the NEAR Foundation has done from the get-go, right? is they've done KYC AML on all node operators, right? Now there's the region where that node is, right? For example, with one of their custody providers, Finoa, they're based out of they're a German company, and so we only stake on European-based node operators, right? If it goes through Finoa, right? And so it is a tricky part, right? Because you do have to do KYC ML on the node operators, but that's something that the NEAR Foundation has already done prior, right? Then it is each legislation, right? For Finoa, they have to be based out of the European data centers, right? And so we do have to check for that.
We got time for one more question.
Hey there. One question I have is when you look at staking derivatives on Ethereum, right? They hit a lot of product market fit because the staking duration is so long. People didn't know when the merge would ship. NEAR staking and unstaking is not such a heavy operation. So how do you incentivize people that are doing native staking to move to the staking derivative? Like, how do you get that flywheel going?
Yeah, well, that's why we're launching. Well, initially what we did is, yes, we provided incentives on DEXs and lending and borrowing platforms, right? Right now, what we're doing is we're gonna do it through our DAO. What's gonna happen, we're gonna right now initiate meta staking rewards through the staking mechanism. So that means that when you stake your NEAR, you will get an extra APY with our governance token. But then the distribution of the protocol fees will only be done to meta token holders, right? And so, it will be through a voting mechanism. So they will lock up their meta, they will generate voting power, and then they will start to vote where that allocation of protocol fees is gonna go to. So that's where we're gonna try to build a flywheel in order to have the right incentives for the community to go to protocol, but more importantly, for the community to be the one receiving the value creation of the liquid staking platform. So hopefully that'll pan out.
Cool. And also, as a user of Metapool, I like the liquid assets, and also the fact that you're actively decentralizing is a big, path forward. So also they redelegate to a bunch of other validators in the ecosystem. So you're actually, spreading your stake around across many validators instead of just choosing one. So.
And anything we've said is not financial advice.
Definitely not from me.
Anyhow, thank you very much, everybody. I'll be around here, so thank you for the space.
And if we get the draft team to come. So yeah, I guess just feel free to take it away. By the way, you have 5 minutes, and then we will move to 5 minutes of questions, and then move on next.
Trying to figure out how this thing works. There we go. So for this part of the pitch, I need you guys all to go to the App Store and download our app. I'm just kidding. Nobody wants to download more apps. We make customer engagement. We make customer engagement as simple as clicking a button. My name is Doug Walker. I'm co-founder and CEO of Drop. We're an ad tech startup focused on the sports and entertainment industry. What's unique about us is we make ads. We give ads utility. Luckily, we just had a panel come on and they stole our pitch, so they did it better than us. So we don't have to explain to you why Web3 or how Web3 improves loyalty and rewards. It's safe to assume that everyone in here sees the inherent value of putting loyalty badges and commemorative tickets on chain. In our Web3,
Test.
Okay, sorry about that. In our Web3 platform, customer loyalty becomes a byproduct. Now that we've established how easy it is for the average fan who doesn't know anything about Web3 to engage with our platform, like claiming a commemorative ticket. Sorry. That's basically what we're doing is we're creating a funnel for the 90% of fans who will never download the app. We've talked to all these teams across various industries, and they've only converted 10% of their social media following And so we want you to think about what's happening as fans are collecting these commemorative tickets. Web3 technology creates digital touch points in the form of NFTs and wallets, and now we're able to connect teams and fans. And so what's happening is we are now identifying a new engaged audience that we can sell to sponsors. We're using Web3 to redefine the $7.5 billion mobile sports advertising market. So we originally started as a loyalty and rewards program until we realized teams don't have loyalty programs. Unfortunately, I have a Green Bay Packers tattoo on my arm right here, and I'm not alone. We've all made mistakes. Every single team that we've talked to has the same problem. They're desperate to increase sponsorship revenue and create new advertising inventory to sell to these sponsors. They're all actively seeking new ways to place digitally native ads and provide more value for fans and sponsors. I'm sorry, guys, I can't see anything, so it's like I'm in the wrong spot. Can you get me? So the Drop platform addresses both these issues. We realized that this is prime real estate. So we started off making commemorative tickets that were just NFTs until we realized we can sell this to sponsors. So we create digital miniature billboards that are optimized for the mobile experience. And teams capture new data points, grow CRM, sponsors get engagement, fans get utility, and form of rewards. Everybody wins. We're directly associating sponsors' ads with a positive experience and leveraging the digital ecosystem to create a direct line between fans and brands.
So one of the big things that we have been focusing on is really creating an experience that lives both inside of the team's app, but also on a mobile browser experience. And the reason for doing that is, like you said, no one wants to download another app. And you really want to create that element of accessibility and usability, right? None of us like to go and set up another loyalty account, just like they said. And one of the reasons for that is we all hate remembering get another username and password. We all hate downloading another app. But when you have this mobile experience, and with arguably the simplest onboarding mechanism of not even Web3, but also Web2, in large part thanks to the NEAR tooling, we're able to bring users into this experience without downloading an app, without even using a username and password. All they have to do is give us an email, a phone number, they can sign in with Google, sign in with Apple, and all of a sudden they're into the experience. In doing so, they never even really need to know that this program is powered by Web3. They don't need to know anything about the fact that Web3 is underlying this. And ultimately, most of them aren't familiar with the concept of what we're talking about, right? If you go into a stadium, very few fans are actually going to understand what it is to buy, sell, and trade digital assets. But we're going to take them through a journey, which ultimately introduces new concepts, but as in the form of new features. And so that's just basically a Web2 experience. So far, we've brought this to the LAFC. We've brought in $150,000 in new sponsorship revenue for this 2023 season. In doing so, we've essentially been able to we've brought to the table a sponsor alongside our digital platform. And so in doing so, we're creating two things and creating two efficiencies. The first is we don't have to rely on the team to sell the sponsor, and it also really creates an element of ease when we're going into the sales process, because our business model is 10 to 20% commission on all the sponsorship revenue that we bring into the deal.
Time is up. Thank you, guys. Any questions for the Drop team?
What aspects of NEAR's tooling do you utilize in onboarding or security to really ease the onboarding experience for the user?
So there's a company called Round HQ. They're a relatively new company that we actually came into the NEAR ecosystem with. They ended up working with them as well. They came out of Department of Defense and have some pretty incredible tooling for onboarding. So it's actually someone I would recommend everyone works with. And they've been doing an incredible job of helping us, like I said, ease that process to the point where all you need to do is get a username or rather, sorry, a phone number or an email, and it acts much like Magic Link. I would even say it's Magic Link, but better, because on that first pass, we can let them in as a guest, and then when they come back, we can then verify them. So we're eliminating all that friction on the way in.
Any other questions? Judges?
As you look at this new type of advertising format, how do you think that changes the user experience? And maybe specifically, like, how do you think that changes like conversion rates? How do you think that changes, like the further retention and engagement that these brands see?
So the difference between where we sit, and I think the sort of third space element of this is there's the social media engagement, and then there's the in-app engagement. In-app conversion is less than 10% of their social media followings. You look at the Milwaukee Bucks, they have 5.1 million followers and 350,000 app downloads. When they run any type of campaign, if someone's collecting a commemorative ticket, perhaps it's for a chance to win courtside seats, some element of loyalty program, when they're coming back into into an experience that's a mobile browser that's powered by us, but a white label, and it really feels like the team experience, that's now a platform that they own and can monetize. They can actually go in and when they're doing something like that, running a campaign like that on Instagram or on socials, they're just the social platform is essentially benefiting from their efforts, right, and from their audience. But when they bring that into their own experience, that those 5.1 million fans, or whatever percentage of them that they're able to convert, which is far more than the 350,000 app downloads that they have, they're able to then use that as really that touch point where a sponsor says, I can get in front of all these fans, which right now there's just in terms of digital engagement, teams do not have the right tools to put their sponsors in front of their fans, particularly in an area where they can monetize and they can actually generate additional sponsorship revenue.
We have time for one more question.
Oh, wow, this one's really loud. Can you, the validation case that you went through is really interesting. Can you talk a little bit more about that in terms of, it looks like Brave might have been the one to sponsor it, and what was that experience like for the user?
So NEAR's actually been great in terms of helping and working with all that and getting everything live with the LAFC. One of the things that was sort of a core element was we had to go through a process with the MLS, and we actually underwent a full due diligence process. They are actually pretty strict with regards to their Web3 and blockchain sort of restrictions. And so because of the way we're able to structure this as very much a Web2 experience that's Web3 compatible, rather than coming out and saying, hey, we're this Web3 company doing Web3 loyalty and rewards, it really allowed us to kind of get into the sort of the real nitty gritty of what we're doing, which is driving that sponsorship revenue. And quite frankly, we work directly with the sponsorships teams, which previously when we were going to teams, it was hey, if we're going to use your loyalty and rewards platform, you're going to pay us to play. And now I look forward to talking to those people because we can now give them another line of revenue, a new channel that they ultimately drive a lot more. They can increase their revenue in some cases by up to 20%. And so with the LAFC, for them, this is all brand new revenue that comes with no associated cost. And so, quite frankly, it's an easy sale to the team. And when you look at the brand and you look at the statistics associated with the number of users that they follow, have followers on socials, the number of app downloads that they have, it becomes a pretty unique and interesting proposition to not just existing founders, but also, existing sponsors, but also prospective new sponsors.
Thanks.
Awesome. Let's give it up for the drop team. And up next is Peter from Here Wallet. I've been working with Peter since his early days in the NEAR ecosystem. I think this is by far the best Web3 onboarding experience that exists today. And so super excited to have you here. So take it away.
Thank you, Cameron. Hi, I'm Peter. I'm founder of Here Wallet. Here Wallet is non-custodial client for centralized exchanges. Just imagine Venmo, where you can sign on-chain transaction from your exchange balance. We have application. So here we are. Today we have a couple problem. Most of our users are on centralized exchanges. It is middle-class investor who buy crypto to invest. And the couple huge problem. Central exchanges is really convenient. And it's difficult to use application on chain. You have to create wallet for Solana, for NEAR, for Polygon. You have to go to different sites to use lending, staking, other stuff. and you can do all this stuff on Binance in one click. But you pay with a huge commission in this centralization risk. I lose some money on FTX, and I know about it probably better than more of you. You can see Binance has like 2.5 commission for NEAR staking, and it is about 9 and change. And now we solved this problem. So it's a super simple application. You log in with your Binance and potentially Coinbase account, and then you can make any on-chain transaction from your exchange balance. When you want to, for example, buy NFT or stake, we will use your IPK to move money from Binance to non-custodial wallet and then process transactions. So now you can use all on-chain stuff from your exchange balance, and you don't have to be crypto people to do it. It looks super simple. It's super simple UI, super simple onboarding process. It's live in Google Play and App Store. You can check it out. And yeah, there are much more people on centralized exchanges. Even for NEAR, usually people just buy it as one of their 10 other tokens and keep it because they want to sell it when they'll do 30, and they bought it when NEAR was 10. The 90 million Binance users, they about $7 billion total value lost on centralized exchanges. All this money can be used on-chain. All this money can store security, work on lending for staking protocols. And it's what we will do in the next couple of years. The red one is how many people actually use any on-chain projects on NEAR. And the large cycle is how many people keep talking on centralized exchanges. So we get revenue, we get money from, we use our own wallet data for users taking money. And we also get commission from building the apps. Like today we have partnership with Tonix, Spin, Finance, for example, to make swaps on NEAR, and we grab 50% their fees from any swaps. And for users, they just don't feel where they swap. You want to buy Meta token, and it's listed only on Real Finance. We will convert your BUSD to NEAR, withdraw NEAR to on-chain to non-custodial wallet, and buy token. And you will just see the loading. So you connect it to your Binance, and then you can explore any tokens, any chains in one interface. You can click stake, and you can stake your Solana on Solana, NEAR on Metapool. You can stake your DOT on Polkadot. It's super simple experience how people can use their money on chain. Here we are. Now we fully support NEAR protocol. People can use money from Binance to make any stuff on NEAR. We connected with the most of popular projects in Here Wallet and on their websites. We launched in Google Play and App Store. We just started to make Binance connection months ago. Now most of our users in waiting list. We have 200 of people who already connect with the wallet. The average balance in the stuff which I really like for centralized exchange users is $3,500. And average balance of on-chain non-custodial users who connect with NEAR is about $40. So it's absolutely other type of people. It's middle-class investors, which used to only trade with crypto. But today, they can start using it. Yesterday, IPKs was only for pro traders who created it by the 10 steps and used for trading bots. Today, people can just log in Here Wallet. You don't have to go to settings, do anything. He'll just look the login and then generate IPK. Tomorrow, $70 billion of Binance users can be moved on chain. Yeah. So next, EVM chain support for Aurora. You will be able to sign any transaction from your Binance balance, any games, NFT marketplaces. You will be able to log in with Wallet Connect. We will connect more exchanges, Coinbase, OKX, KuCoin, Bybit, other exchanges. So it will be universal tools how people who keep money on centralized exchanges can connect to earn more money from staking, and then can use any stuff on chain with this exchange balance and keep money safe. We're also working on partnership like with Hita, if you know about them, and you can keep your money on your cold wallet. And if you want to, for example, withdraw to your bank card, you will just touch your phone with your cold wallet and send money to Binance, connect it to fiat, withdraw to bank card. And it's actually experience which I really need 3 months ago when we started with FTX. So here we are. Now we just started creating our seed on the previous week. We used to get pre-seed from Big Brain VC. We get new grants and grants in proximity to development. So I will be happy to talk with you. I'll find you around. Thank you.
Awesome. And any questions from the audience?
I have a question. Yeah, I love to see the vampire attack on Binance. But does Binance want you to do this, and will they like consider to block the API calls from your server that is instructing it to send send to here?
Very good questions. Two answers. Answer number one, it's more about technical stuff. We use RCA. It's a really difficult key when people generate by themselves and edit, and we do it on background. And Binance promised that he will not any time remove this keys. The answer number two is more about business stuff. If we will large enough and the CZ will really care about that we use IP and we move a lot of liquidity from Binance and chain, we can figure out about other use cases. For example, we say, okay, you can keep money on Binance, but if what you want to buy tokens, you can do it with Here Wallet, or you want to buy NFT, you can do it with Here Wallet. And we can find more business use cases which not affect Binance so much and find compromise with them. But it will be really good problem and Binance will really care that we move too many liquidity on chain.
That's true. Any other questions?
Yeah, you said you had a wait list of 3,000 from Binance, is that right?
We have 3,000 in waiting list and we connected 200.
And when will the 3,000 come through? And what's the projected revenue on that?
Where?
When?
3,000 to waiting list. We added a banner when we offer, like, okay, we started to connect people to Binance if you want to be in the waiting list in application, and we converted our non-custodial users to the waiting list. Our non-custodial users come from collaboration with other projects, with media. We are the largest mobile wallet on NEAR now, so. Yeah.
Fantastic. Any other questions?
We've started to see a lot of apps recently try and own their own mobile wallet experience. How do you think about that changing landscape as, you know, if you think of a verticalized wallet versus kind of what here is in terms of a horizontal wallet that allows for use of any type of application? Would be curious to hear how you think about that changing landscape and where here fits into that.
Yeah, I think the most of other wallets focus on super other people. It's tools to sign transactions, or it's tools to keep your money. We are tools to use your balance from exchanges. So we don't offer for random people to use us because we are super more convenient. Or other, we say, okay, you can connect your Binance to here to earn more money from passive income from staking. You can connect your Binance to here to start get 2 times more money from your stable coins on lending protocols. And we offer to people just about the money, and it's other auditory. So our target users is middle-class investors who use cryptocurrency as revenue. So he buy a few tokens, he don't a lot care about that there are 10 different projects. He even don't maybe care about non-custodial or self-custodial wallets. But he care about money, he care about finance commissions, he care about projects which he can explore to earn more staking KPI to buy NFT. And yeah, so we solve other problem. We don't solve problem to sign transaction from your crypto. We solve to explore, to use your tokens from your exchanges. Other flow, other users, other go-to-market strategy, other features.
Peter, how much are you raising right now?
Now we're raising 500,000.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter, so much for joining. And he also won almost every one of our hackathons, which is really cool. So congratulations there. So last but not least, second to last, we have Zahid from Nearpad. He is building a single-stop shop for JavaScript developers who also build decentralized front ends on Near. But Zahid, you can take it away.
Is it better? Can you hear from the back? So I will start with a few questions. How many of you know what is blockchain operating system? Okay. How many are you a developer? Consider yourself a developer. How many of you build one widget? So then you are in the right place. So building a component base. So today, building a building a blockchain operating system component is hard, and it is very difficult to manage code for larger application. So yeah, so building blockchain operating system component is hard, and there is no clear way to collaborate on building a widgets. So I'm building NEAR. It's a collaborative development platform where we help developer to build, deploy, and monetize BOSS components. And our current focus is in Ethereum. So yeah, electronic capital. So the main focus is bringing as many Ethereum developer as we can into blockchain operating system. And then the next goal is to bring all the JavaScript developer, because there are 17 million JavaScript developer who can build a component on BOSS. And this is our progress. We launched last month, and we have now 270 active users, and who are spending 8 minutes of building components. So that's super interesting for me. And last 2 months, we organized for BOSS workshop, where we taught people how to build components. We had more than 15 people one-on-one meeting to understand how they build a widget and how we can improve the developer experience. We have a very active community in Telegram, where from Telegram we received 26 feature requests. And we are partnering with Banyan to run a bootcamp in New York and San Francisco next month. So this is the developer platform, where basically you get live update whenever you build a components. And one of the biggest advantage for this platform is you can switch from mainnet to testnet without leaving to different website. And you can see we have theming support, so you can have dark mode and light mode. You can search all the community build widgets. Then if you like one of them, you can fork it. So let's say I like the profile, then I can fork it. You can open in a new tab, you can fork it, and then you can extend that widget. So this is the team. So we launched last month. So my background is a little bit about me. So I'm VP of Engineer in a space tech company, where I build a lot of ML and AI application when it was not that cool. So, and I have a front-end developer who is helping me with the front end, and a DevRel ops, like everything else is Alex, and Cameron is kind of advising us. And this is what we are looking for. So we are looking for 500,000, so that we have a 12-month runway to build a truly collaborative development platform. And there is no straight monetization for widget developers. So we want to build a marketplace for developer to buy and sell components. Then we want to build a world-class EVM support. So EVM support is not that great. It can be great, really. So, and most of the other gateway don't really focus on developer experience. So we want to build a developer-focused gateway which will focus on developer productivity and experience. And we will run a lot of community-based events and education, because I believe that's the best way to bring developer from other ecosystem and even Web2 JavaScript developer to NEAR blockchain. And we will also use some of this money for marketing and finding product market fit. Now the question is how we will make money. So we don't know everything, but we have some idea. So it will be from the marketplace. We will take some commission from marketplace. We will do some education and consulting, and then custom component development. Ecosystem need a lot of interesting component to build, so we'll support them. We'll have a enterprise support, and we will build like a gateway as a service provider. So because a lot of team coming up that they want to run their own gateway, so we will be a gateway as a service, and we'll also have a paid subscription for advanced feature for the web editor. So that's me. And if you want to join our community, so we have a Telegram community. You can go, and the website is nearpet.dev. And now I'll open up for questions.
Thank you, David. Any questions?
Do you provide any SDKs or any tooling for developers? And do you provide anything else in terms of things like RPC support or indexing support?
Not yet. So we are kind of the developer platform. The most important support that we provide as a gateway as a service. So different project need different libraries, so which are not readily available in any other gateway. So we help them to kind of there is something called VM, virtual machine, where you have to extend. So we have that expertise. We help them with that. And for RPC, we are using existing one, but definitely looks like we have to build our own indexer for NEAR social. So we'll do some of those. So that's why we are asking for money, so that right now I'm the one working. So we have huge backlog. So we want to kind of bring more engineers so that we can build all these features.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, this seems like a really, really useful experience for developers working on Boss. Also liked your usage of developer numbers. Can you talk a little bit more about the marketplace, and who do you think will be creating the private components, and what are the types of private components that you think will be made, and how do you see that marketplace getting bootstrapped?
So during consensus, I talked with probably 10 or 15 different developers who are already experimenting with Boss. One of the biggest question was like, how can we monetize? So the only pathway is from developer DevGov or getting some grant. So I believe let's say if you have a DEX and you have some specialized custom UI, and then you want to kind of don't want to make it public either, and then I don't know entirely how the mechanism will be, the marketplace, whether it will be on chain or maybe the private one will be off chain, and then when you pay for it, maybe then it will go to on chain. So that's the part I'll figure out. But like I know from community that people are asking for that kind of feature, because it is one thing to be open, but community have to also figure out how they monetize their component. So did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
I have a question. So there are already established platforms like GitHub for collaborative development, or like REPL that you mentioned, and developers, they have attachment to their tools, right? So have you thought about like defining a new product in such a way that it integrates with these things instead of trying to compete with them directly?
Yeah, wonderful question. So I could not show the live demo, but like when you log in with GitHub. So in the future, whenever you build those widgets, you will be able to create a GitHub repo because we have the authentication. So it will be collaboration through GitHub. But when I talk with the developer, they had question around, let's say I'm building a components and I want to share with you, and we want to live edit some part of that thing. So like more like a peer-to-peer coding, pair programming. So those kind of feature we will use more like a Google Doc style collaboration. But I'm not going to reinvent anything. So whatever exists, I will use it. So that's the goal. Making it, we want to make developer more productive. So that's the number one goal.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much for the presentation. For example, I want to create an app, you know, and I feel like your solution is wonderful, but how, like, what would you say is the biggest incentive for somebody who wants to create an app in a way that is very efficient, almost like a no-code way, if I understand it well? Yeah.
So a little bit of background of, I talked with you a few times. So his app is kind of building a marketplace for game, and that use a multiple chain. So now if you want to build an app like that, you have to build custom connection to Ethereum, custom connection to Solana, custom connection to other place. But with Boss, you don't have to take care of those things. So because the operating system abstract all these things, so that means your development time will be less than half, right? So you are saving a lot of money. So if put it that way, make sense? Okay.
Any last questions? Great, let's go to Zahid. Thank you. What I love about Zahid is he has been educating the NEAR ecosystem in San Francisco for the last 6 months or so for free. He just loves this stuff. And he also runs one of the largest JavaScript meetup groups in San Francisco. So he genuinely enjoys this. He's a part of Build Space right now, VP of Engineering, doing this in his spare time. So I mean, just want to support him. So thank you, Steve. Last but not least, actually, is Barakin. And slides up. Yep. There we go. Oops. Chris, take it away. Awesome. So I've got the analog cheat sheet since I didn't know how this was going to work here today. So Chris Clayson, CEO and co-founder of Barakin, based in Austin. Saw some of you at Consensus last week, some cases you look familiar. So we've built a platform that does direct licensing for the sports media and entertainment space. So licensing, I'm guessing most of you don't have an IP background, don't have a media licensing background. So I'm going to try to cover some of the basics here as part of this presentation. The key takeaway here, though, is you have content creators and content owners who are not happy with the current landscape. They're also very confused and worried about how stuff like AI is going to cut into how they're making money today. You've got unnecessary intermediaries like Getty Images that take a huge cut of the revenue, cut into the bottom line, and they also are a barrier to the end customer. So you've got someone sitting in the middle that prevents a direct connection with the customer. You can't build a better relationship. And more importantly, or important for a lot of our customers, is it prevents additional monetization opportunities. So essentially, we've got the classic monopoly of using their position. This is something that Web3 was born for. A lot of us are in this room because we're trying to get things more decentralized and give the little guy the ability to go direct to customers and not be trapped in these getting images type situations. So what we do is we have an enterprise-grade alternative that allows direct control over the assets, direct connections with the customers as an alternative to decentralized platforms. So next slide, and this is really just some background to licensing. So helping the little guy is interesting for a lot of us, definitely for me, but also I like solving big, interesting problems. So if you look at the licensing space, market opportunity here, what we call the value added by the copyright industry, $2.9 trillion, 12% plus GDP. Copyright industry monetizes through licensing. This is a huge, huge opportunity. 65% of the digital economy is dealing with licensing in some reason. So like licensing is the thing behind the scenes that actually is the revenue engine for a lot of businesses. So what do we have here? So we've got the current landscape is you typically have B2B licensing platforms like Getty Images. You'll license a video clip, it'll get integrated in a film. It's very B2B world. And then you have something like iTunes where a user rents a movie, which, most people don't really think about licensing, but what you're really doing is acquiring license rights to watch that film. So you've got B2B licensing and B2C licensing. So
So interesting things that are happening, and AI is really driving this, is the worlds of B2B and B2C are merging together because traditional consumers are going to turn into creators as they have access to AI generative tools. So these platforms really can't be separate anymore. You need to unify your IP. And then the other interesting thing around like AI and consumers doing more of these licensing type use cases is you're going to need automation tools. So what our platform provides is micro licensing. Think of it similar to micro payments. It's licensing on demand. So we built this platform to solve today's problems around licensing through getting images, but it's future proof for automation to handle the extra demand that AI is going to put on these type of licensing platforms. So getting into how it works, and it's complicated, so pretty simplified slide here. At the core of our platform, we keep an on-chain inventory. So this is very different than most other NFT platforms or things out there. We put the inventory of licensable material on-chain. We have templates that do the license rights. We work with an IP law firm, so we're legally binding license agreements with a metadata model. Let's see what else is there. There's a rules and policy engine as well that actually enforces the contract. The second interesting thing here is we've got this inventory now. We expose it in parallel through multiple channels. So of course, Web3 native APIs. We also have a Shopify plugin that lets people use their existing Web2 channel. So we talk to our customers. They don't really want another channel, at least not yet. They want to be able to leverage their existing channels but sell new products through them. And then the interesting thing here is with the Shopify experience, we get the Web 2.5 experience, right? Which is being able to use fiat payments and then self-custody of the assets. We're adding us doing custody as well, so we can do a full Web 2, crypto's completely in the background. And then of course we offer the Web 3 native, which gives you the atomic delivery versus payment. You send the license, take payment as an atomic transaction. And then our policy engine allows us to constantly refactor the inventory that's available. So if someone buys license rights, we can offer conflicting licenses in parallel. They're all available to purchase, but once something's purchased, we calculate, okay, what's actually still valid, and we'll pull any conflicting license rights from the inventory. As things expire, that inventory is re-exposed again. So it's using smart contracts as a smart way to govern what's still available to be purchased. We also do dynamic renewals and upgrades and that sort of thing. And let's see. So team slide, this is back in the bull market, so we all look better. So I spent 5 years doing very boring capital markets use cases at Digital Asset. We had our own blockchain platform, smart contracts, doing clearing and settlement, pretty much post-trade stuff. We did repo. Broadridge is using our platform, doing $1 trillion a day through it, like hardcore capital markets. And I worked at Meta and other tech companies. My co-founder, Leonard, he's got a background in cloud, AI, ML. We actually started this company back about 1.5 years ago with AI and ML in mind, and then shifted a little bit over to the entertainment space because we didn't think the market was ready. Now that everyone's talking about AI and how do we monetize it, like we're super excited because we're in that sweet spot. And then 2 people on the business side that come from the entertainment industry. Yeski was at Sony, he was the CTO of Panasonic Americas, and BD guy that's in Europe that has done his own work, done streaming platforms, that sort of thing. So have access to the space, working with some interesting initial customers. And investment ask. So pre-revenue, about to launch with some interesting customers. Product's about to go on mainnet. The plugin for Shopify is about to go through their wonderfully easy certification process. So raising money to scale engineering and scale go-to-market.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions?
So you're also taking care of policy compliance, and does your policy engine take care of the verifying policy compliance, or is someone else doing it? Like, is it scalable, automatable process?
When you're talking about do they actually have the ability to issue a license? Is that what you mean by compliance, or?
Well, I mean, I would assume that so my knowledge is primarily within the licensing of the software.
Okay. Yeah. So we have in the media licensing, you have like an underlying work. Let's say you have a song, And then you'll offer different license types against that, where you'll have like, personal use license, commercial use, whatever. We're not handling the enforcement of that at this point. There's some thinking on how we can do it, like it's online content. The thing is, this licensing, like you may buy a license and it may be consumed and used in something that's not online. Like a good use case is you do a document nature video clip and it's shown in a theater. So it's difficult for us to do that end to end, but we'll be compatible with like the watermarking and IP infringement software that's traditionally used.
So there's like completely separate parties that do this enforcement.
Yeah, exactly, and we're compatible with that ecosystem.
Thanks, Max. My question was on enforcement, but it sounds kind of like you answered that.
Yeah, it's like it fits in the online world where we're going to do AI detection tools, but there's a massive market around it, and a lot of it's commodity, so you don't really want to go there and reinvent the wheel. But like we can watermark assets before we issue the license, right? So like we can feed into these existing systems that have been around for 10+ years.
Got it. Makes sense.
Once you have the assets on chain and revenue producing, have you looked at the possibility of then staking those assets and providing a yield?
So we right now are focused on enterprise customers and kind of stepping back from crypto because they're not super thrilled. But the nice thing is they have those supply and demand. For more of the consumer use cases, we're looking at maybe doing asset pooling, where people can agree to pool their assets. We can do a monthly fee on top of it. That's where some interesting tokenomics come into play. And if people want to then do products on top, whether it's us or want to do lending, I think it opens up the door. We're thinking more of how do we pool assets and generate revenue for the people that created those assets. And yeah, there's probably many financial products that go on top of it. That is scaring a lot of the enterprise customers we're talking to today. So we're trying to keep it very transaction-based revenue model. Feels like a utility service to them, but then it gives us the optionality to do more of the crypto native stuff at a later time.
In terms of the regulations surrounding KYC and AML of the licensee and licensor, how are you handling that?
So it's very use case specific, right? So in some cases, you're licensing something, it could even be Creative Commons, you just want attribution, you don't really care who's acquiring the license. In other cases, you actually want a lot of control over how that license material is used. So we can actually implement like a proposal workflow. And we've had a couple customers ask for this very early on. It's like, well, I don't want anyone just to be able to acquire my license. Like maybe it's my competitor, maybe it's someone I don't agree with their political views. So we can do essentially a request for purchase. We can lock the inventory. The person that owns the asset goes through and approve it, then we issue it. If we want to do KYC automated, that's in the middle. But like I think it's even going to be more than just automated KYC. We're going to look at specific approval cases. But some of these assets are going to be several hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Are there any particular verticals that you think are worth going after first that like might be more open to crypto or some of these more novel use cases?
So in the enterprise case, sports media entertainment, what you're seeing is like I'd say professional producers of content that aren't like a Warner Brothers, like a large studio. They're very open to new revenue streams. And so, they're getting squeezed from the top by like these larger players. And they're also like really worried about AI. So those are the ones that are like, how can I monetize my library with AI? And they're more open to some crypto things. So we have some conversations, but they're more like, I've got 30 years of content I'm not making money from. How can I just get out there and license it? And then, doing crypto stuff on top is like the next step. Thanks.
We have time for one more question.
Which part over here? Sorry. Yeah. Which parts of the product are going to be on chain?
So we've got the inventory. So the way our system works is you load the product inventory just like you would load it any other e-commerce site. That actually lives on chain. So the underlying work, the description of the asset, where the actual content that lives, we integrate with various systems. So it could be IPFS, it could be traditional CDN, it could be Vimeo, which we're doing an integration with. So all the metadata, so all the underlying work's on chain, all the information about what that underlying work is, all the flavors of products or SKUs is all on chain. And then as things are purchased, that's also on chain. So this is one of the reasons why we selected NEAR, is it gives us a powerful smart contract language, so we can do all this rules engine stuff, and the transaction cost is low. So like this is a perfect fit for NEAR.
Thanks. So as a customer, if I purchase a license, there will be some indication on chain that I own that
Yes,
license.
yeah, and so the Web 2.5 experience, you buy it through Shopify, we deliver a link drop through Keepon. So you'll claim it, it's in your wallet, or in the Web 2 case, we'll run the wallet. In the Web 3 native case, of course, you're paying crypto payments. So yeah, it's on chain and asset under your control. So you can, so if the license allows it, you can sell it. Like, so is it sellable? Can you use secondary market? It's use case specific, but yes, we support it.
Awesome. Any last questions? Great. Thank you, Chris and the Verican team. And before we head out to the networking piece, just want to thank Edgenode and House of Web3 for hosting us today, as well as the Open Future Forum for sending this out and being great community partners. Also, last shout out, all of the food is provided by an organization called Block Bites. They're a new startup in town that actually take NEAR to pay for food. So all of this food was paid in NEAR, which is really cool. And we're going to be using them for all of our future events. So actually, last but not least, join NEAR SF if you're interested in our meetups, hackathons, demo days. We have VIP dinners. This will continue on. This is our first demo day in the city. And I don't want to get between you and the food. So we're going to kick everyone out of here by 9. So you have about an hour and a half. There's drinks by Glass. Shout out to Glass from earlier. They provided the drinks. And Block Bites for the food. So if you see what we're doing here, we're building an entire new economy. And all in here. So thanks for coming, and see you soon.
Yeah, not.
Yeah, of course. Good.
Thank you. This is incredible. I'm going to introduce you to today my co-founder, Calvin.
Yeah, I've been at the foundation for the last like 2.5 years. And after building our DB team and raising a bunch of money and doing the thing, and they're like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, we need you in the United States. I literally go around. So the whole goal was just like, I mean, really, I want us like I need beer. I've got to say it's no brainer. Second one is food. So right now we have activity. So I'd love to be working class.
Yeah, I've been following the Telegram. It's so active.
We're working on it. What I want is like to actually have another. I want to make sure that founders always think that their babies are just beautiful. And so like having like real conversations around like because everyone just wants to like give me the credit, give me the partnerships, give me everything. And so it's about like getting all three founders. Scammers come in, scammers I wish you could give me a little shout out. Like, hey,
Yeah, tomorrow night.
also, let me just like introduce you to some people. Let's do a little tour. He's a VP of engineering at a very large.
Yeah, oh yeah, the sound, well, maybe we'll talk about it after, but I mean, I also like produce a podcast, so I have some like audio things, so. Oh yeah, I asked. I'll take that too. Yeah, I'll come to you, just because at the end of the day, it's. Yeah, man. We'll see you tomorrow at the event. I don't know if it's in this building, but it's like a 5-minute walk.
Ya me voy a ir, ¿vale? No, pero mañana ¿qué haces? Ok, aquí nos vemos. ¿Sí? ¿Sí?
So Charles Which project? Not for me, but Jesus. Do you guys have horses? Oh, maybe.
No, we don't want to. We got money.
I saw you Hi, good. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, taking photos for the event. Can I take a photo of the yeah, just that's great. 1 second. 3, 2, 1. That's great. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna send them to NEAR. I think it should come out a week, but you can email me if you don't get them for that. I will be right back. I'll grab my
They also have that's like no, I have no clue. Yeah, I will learn before I learn. Yes, sir. It's okay. I've been ready for it. I will go to Yeah, we should go together. Okay, I'm about for each other. Yeah. Nice meeting you. Yeah. Please.
I will do that.
Tuesday. Yeah, sure. Still with that same girl? Oh, yeah. That is awesome! Congrats! You have like a full thing, or you just like, wow. We did, no idea. Welcome to the volunteer. What? When I answered my question, it's about like whether you're staying. Yeah, locked in. Are you how big is that? It's like, you're such a sad baby. Like 2 days ago. Yeah, let's go. I'll show you. That's team persevere. That's what I heard. Yeah. I would say I was like I was sort of the god that created the
Hey God, I'm so sorry for interrupting. I'm gonna start slowly talking
I know you guys are like, you want to rate.
I think you guys need to like create your policy.
I guess what I mean is like, what are you building?
Yeah, I know who she is. I can give you her LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's exactly right. My resources are unique. I know everyone says we're special, but like we're
I'm not gonna fight here. I was here to talk to Illia, who's old friends, and then yeah, not because it's really extreme. I don't want to use it, but the components. I have to.